What if the people running this country worked for you? You wouldn't write an angry Facebook post. You'd walk them out with a cardboard box and security. You bleed for your paycheck. They treat it like casino chips. You're budgeting groceries. They're upgrading flights and calling it public service. We ran the numbers on 588 of them. Only 22 can pass a basic American's First test. In Congress, out of 538 members, exactly one passes. One. If your child brought home that score, you wouldn't call it democracy. You'd call it a grounding. And here's the ugly part. They only get away with it because we keep voting like fans instead of bosses. This isn't Team Red versus Team Blue. It's our team. The people paying the bill team acting like a screaming fan section instead of the owners of the freaking stadium. Tonight's a warning and it's a call to action. Stop voting like a fan and start acting like a boss.
This is not noise. This is not outrage. This is conviction. We believe in faith. We believe in family. We believe in this country and the people who built it. Welcome to What If Unfiltered. This is more than a show. This is a movement.
Let's start with the basics. Did they pass the test or did they eat the glue stick? The Citizens Governance Index scored every member of Congress and all 50 governors using real data. Campaign money, stock trades, voting records, state economies, quality of life, all the boring adult stuff they hope you never look at. And here's what the numbers say. 588 officials scored. Only 22 passed the Americans' First standard. In Congress, 538 members, one passes. Everyone else is either needs improvement or please stop touching the controls. If company had numbers like that, the board would shut it down. But in DC, they call it experienced leadership and send another fundraising email. The average congressional score sits right on the line of, and are you serious? The House, 0 members pass. Not a single one. None. 0. Zilch. But we keep buying the jerseys and yard signs like it's the NFL draft. Governors actually do a lot better. 42 out of 50 pass. Because when you're running a state, real budgets, real crime, real jobs, reality eventually shows up, even if the cable news doesn't. So the scoreboard reads, Congress, professional fan service, amateur governance. Governors, still flawed, but at least pretending math is real. If you wouldn't keep an employee with results like that, why are you treating these people like celebrities instead of staff? Now, let's zoom out. Which states are actually run like adults live there, and which ones are just live action Twitter threads? The state governance score averages every official from a state, governor, both senators, all House reps, all into one number. How well is that state's leadership performing as a team? Top of class? Well, you have South Dakota, Wyoming, Alaska, New Hampshire, Idaho. Small states, less drama, better governance. The bottom of the class, Massachusetts, Illinois, Washington, New Jersey, and California. The states that never shut up about being models for the nation can't pass their own governance exam. If your model student was pulling bottom 5 grades, you'd stop letting them tutor the class. On average, red states score higher than blue states, and mostly because their governors are better on fiscal management and outcomes. Congress, messy on both sides. There's no halos there. But at the state level, you can clearly see who can run something and who just really loves microphones. What's also delightful, the 5 biggest states, California, Texas, Florida, New York, Pennsylvania, all rank in the bottom 20. And before my Florida people light up my comments, this isn't blame your governor. Actually, it's quite the opposite. Florida's governor actually scores in the top tier. It's the huge, underperforming House delegation that drags the overall number down. Same story in other big states. A strong governor can pull you up, but a weak legislator can yank you right back into the bottom 20. States like California, New York, New Jersey, Illinois, with brutal cost of living and weak quality of life scores, are watching citizens vote with their feet. When your governance is bad enough, you don't need a political science degree, you just need a moving truck. And the next time a politician says, our state is a model for the nation, check if it's a model or if it's really a warning label. Now, let's talk about ambition. Some of these folks don't want to just keep their job. They want a promotion. They want to drive the bus after crashing the car. Gavin Newsom wants to be president. Of course he does. That hair didn't stop at Sacramento on accident. Ruben Gallego wants to be a big national player too. Mr. Arizona, big Senate voice, future all-star of the Sunday shows, says he is seriously thinking about running for president. But here's the grown-up question. If you want a promotion, how are you doing in the job that you already have? Isn't that the best example of what's yet to come? Gavin Newsom's governor score? 63.5. That's a fail. California's overall state score? 69.3. Bottom 5 in America. They have the highest cost of living. People are leaving in droves. It's a failing grade. But sure, you're ready on day 1 to run the country. Gavin Newsom isn't just the governor of California. He's basically the governor of U-Haul. People aren't debating his record in theory. They're loading it into trucks and driving it to states like Texas and Florida. It seems to me if you can't manage a single state without triggering a mass migration, you have to ask, why would anyone hand you the whole country? In California, when policies got insane, people still had somewhere to go. Texas, Florida, Nevada, Arizona. But if you run the whole country like he's running California, what's the plan then? Are you just going to pack up your kids and move to Italy, France? Hope the EU takes walk-ins? If the American exit strategy is just leave America, maybe, just maybe we should stop promoting the guy causing the exits. Arizona lands in the upper middle, not elite, not a disaster. Governor Katie Hobbs actually passes. But the congressional delegation, including people like Gallego, isn't exactly dragging Arizona into best-in-class territory. So before we crown anybody with a national promotion, maybe we ask, if your current shop isn't top tier, why would we give you the whole franchise? In the real world, you don't promote failing managers to run the entire company. But in politics, that's apparently called momentum and a strong national profile. Let's get back to Congress, because that's where the circus really lives. The American First Test splits every official into 3 piles. Pass, 80+%. Requires improvement, 70 to 79%. And failing is anything below 70. Across 588, 22 pass, 342 require improvement, and 224 fail. That means 96.3% of elected officials either need serious improvement or a new career. In Congress alone, one passed, 320 so-so, 217 fail. If a school posted those numbers, we call it in crisis. But in Washington, they call it a bipartisan working group. We score them on 8 pillars: dedication to public service, fiscal integrity, foreign influence exposure, mission in public service, attendance, financial integrity, voting sponsorship, and legislative effectiveness. You know what's not on the list? Number of viral clips, best tweet, top-rated meltdown on cable. But Republicans generally do better on fiscal integrity and stock trading behavior, and Democrats edge out on attendance and public service dedication. But let's not pretend either side is dropping straight A's. This isn't the Avengers versus Thanos. It's a room full of mid-tier characters who all think they're the star. The political system rewards fundraising, media hits, and owning the other side more than it rewards governing like an adult, nonetheless a leader. We act like our team's the 96 Bulls and their team is the Washington Generals. The data says most teams are barely JV. We also need to say this out loud because you don't hear it on TV very often. The House and the Senate are actually more responsible for the direction of this country more so than the president is. Presidents give speeches, sign bills, executive orders. Congress actually writes the law, spends the money, and decides what even reaches the president's desk. We could put the most perfect president you want in the White House. If Congress is still the same irresponsible, donor-driven clown show, nothing fundamental changes. We can't run the best plays until we have the best players. You don't win a championship with a superstar quarterback and then have a team full of drop passes and missed tackles. It's the same thing here. We can't fix policy until we fix the congressional culture. Until we stop rewarding the grandstanders, the stock traders, and the no-show committee members, and start hiring people who actually treat this like a job, like an honor, and not a brand-building tour. Here's the oldest political scam on earth. Convince you you're powerless. They get you to think nothing ever changes. Both sides are the same. Just pick a jersey and enjoy the show. That lie only works if you never look under the hood. We just saw Congress is structurally failing. Governors are better, but far from saints. Small states often outperform the giant we run the world states. Red versus blue has a gap, but there are good and bad on both sides. That kills the fan narrative. The fan narrative is my team good, their team bad, the end. The scorecard says, actually, most of your team kind of sucks too. They just suck in your favorite color. If you're still watching this, comment and be a boss so I know you're done being a spectator. So let me show you how to use this like a boss and not a fan. Open a browser and go to whatifunfiltered.com. In the upper right-hand corner, click on the scorecard tool. Then enter the password you get from Patreon and click the Unlock Scorecard button. Once you're inside, you can choose whether you want to see Congress, you want to see the governors, or you want to see even the presidential scorecard. You can search by name. You can filter by score. You now have verified information. You have facts that allow you to make informed decisions to who deserves to represent you and your family. Type in any politician you like, their scorecard pops up. You see their composite score, their American First result, and what's pulling them up or dragging them down. You've heard their speeches. You've watched their clips. Now you get to see the receipts. Pause this right now and drop in the comments whose scorecard You're looking up first. Now, here's the exciting part. The part that actually puts you in charge. You don't have to use anybody else's priorities. Maybe you care most about debt because you've got kids and a mortgage. Maybe your family cares more about quality of life, crime, cost of living, and safety. Maybe you're focused on whether your representative is representing you or their donors. On the interactive scorecard, you can change the weights. You can turn up the issues you care about and turn down the ones you don't. For example, if financial integrity matters most, crank that slider up. If you're sick of paying people who don't show up to work, crank attendance up. And if quality of life, accountability, or foreign influence exposure keeps you up at night, make those count more. See, you're not stuck with, here's the score, trust us. This is unlike anything else that's out there, anything else that's ever been built. You get, here are the receipts, now build your scorecard. A retiree in Florida, a young family in Arizona, and a small business owner in California should not be forced to care about the exact same things in the exact same order. This is the complete opposite of cable news. Instead of 6 people yelling at you about what you should care about, you quietly drag a slider and ruin some politician's day based on what matters in your life. In the comments, tell me which pillar you weighted the heaviest. Is it debt? Is it attendance, quality of life, or foreign influence? I don't want you to look at this as some abstract homework assignment. We've got a chance to start changing the roster this November. Midterm elections aren't the undercard. They're where you quietly fire bad employees and upgrade the team. If we keep sending the same low-scoring people back to Washington, nothing changes. If we start using scorecards and our own priorities to decide who stays and who goes, this November becomes the first real step in turning the tide. So when you walk into that booth this November, don't think of team colors. Think, who on this roster actually deserves to keep their job? And one more thing almost nobody ever talks about because it doesn't get rating, primaries. If you're absolutely married to your favorite color, fine, keep that jersey. But primaries are where you decide which version of that jersey you're sending to DC. You can send the stock trading, camera chasing, no-show version, or you can send the boring, serious adult who actually can pass the governance test and put Americans first. Primaries are your chance to say, I'm not switching teams, but I am upgrading the player. But if you skip primaries and only show up in November, you're basically letting someone else pick the roster for your team. So if you love your color that much, prove it by demanding the best version of that color represents you, your family, your needs, and your interests. Listen to me. Your vote is not a foam finger, so stop voting like a fan. We've turned elections into the Super Bowl. People wear jerseys, scream online, and then proudly rehire people who are failing objective tests. We care more about jersey color than job performance. We treat elections like a game instead of a performance review for people with the nuclear codes and your tax bill. Charisma is not competence. A viable rant is not policy. A clever tweet is not a governing plan. Every time you vote because they're on my team, they own the other side, or I saw them on my favorite show, you're telling the political class, I don't care about results. Just keep me entertained. Keep me enraged. And that's how we end up with serial liars reelected. Lawmakers who don't read the bills. Performers instead of public servants. We don't need saints. We need adults. We need leaders. Leaders who represent the American people. Leaders who show up, who do the work, who give a crap. So if you're tired of lies, debts, shutdowns, and a justice system with VIP lanes for the connected, you cannot keep doing politics the same way. So here's a 5-step pledge that I came up with, one that scares politicians way more than your angriest tweet. 1, I will look up at least one independent scorecard, starting with whatifunfiltered.com, before I place a vote. 2, I will read at least one serious source about each candidate, not just their ads and fan podcasts. 3, I will vote for the best record, not the best slogan or the coolest merch. 4, I will contact my representatives at least once a year about debt, transparency, conflicts of interest, and making sure Americans are first. And 5, I will talk to my friends and family about policies and performance, not just personalities and party labels. See, if we actually do that, we are far more dangerous to this system than most of the pundits who get paid to yell about it. We neutralize them. If we don't hear the rhetoric, it has no impact. So, if you want the full breakdowns, not just the free highlights, we built a community that funds the hard work. Deep dive the scorecards, state-by-state comparisons, member-only Q&As, all over Patreon. That's how this stays funded by citizens, not the same donor class that we've been exposing over the last few weeks. Go to Patreon, subscribe at the Patriot level or above, get your password, and then go to whatifunfiltered.com tonight. Look up your representative, your senators, your governor, and the people asking for a promotion. Gavin Newsom, Ruben Gallego, and anyone else they've told you is the future. Don't take my word for it. Don't take their word for it. Look at their record. Look at the numbers. Look at their Americans First test. And then ask yourself, if this person worked for me, would I promote them, keep them, or fire them? You're not powerless. Stop thinking you are. They are actually powerless because without your vote, your attention, and your willingness to act like a boss instead of a fan, they're done. Stop voting like a fan. Start voting like a boss. I'm Michael Breslin. This is What If Unfiltered. Hit follow, subscribe, and share this with one person who still thinks their favorite politician would never lie or definitely puts Americans first. And let's put them to the test. And if you want to help us keep scoring them receipts, join us at Patreon. The link is below. Stay strong, stay awake, and until next time, stay unfiltered.
These conversations don't end when the episode does. They carry forward into how we think, how we speak, and how we engage the world around us. Here, we don't demand agreement. We ask for honesty. We don't chase outrage. We pursue clarity. Because better questions shape better conversations, and better conversations shape better outcomes for our families, our communities, and our country. If this episode sharpened your thinking, share it, continue the conversation, and let's get unfiltered. Until next time, this is What If Unfiltered, where conviction is rooted in faith, guided by tradition, and focused on the future.